So there's a statement that Dana White made. I don't think it was recent, but it's something that has recently come to my attention. I was scrolling through Instagram and this popped up on my feed. It said that Dana White thought that soccer took the least amount of skill out of any other sport. Out of all the other sports, soccer was the one. And I'm going to have to say that I disagree. If you really look at the long list of sports that are out there, so we have soccer, basketball, American football, we have bowling, we have MMA, we have boxing. The list goes on, right? Now, initially, I don't think that there is any sport out there that takes no skill, right? You have to be, in order for there to be elites at something, there takes an amount of skill in order to do that. When I look at soccer, I wouldn't put that in the category of a least amount of skill. When you look at the elite of the elite in soccer, I don't think it takes little skill. I think it takes a lot of skill to be able to control the ball with their feet the way that they can control the ball. I think that it takes a very, very skilled person in order to become very good at soccer. And so I'm by no means on that bus. I don't think that soccer is the one. Is there any sport that comes to mind for me that does take the least amount of skill? It's hard to say, people. It's hard to say because I'll put it this way. If I had to give a sport, I wouldn't even say that it's a specific sport that takes the least amount of skill. There might be certain positions that take the least amount of skill. I think that maybe somebody like the offensive line in football, maybe. And don't heart me on that. I don't think that it takes no skill to do that position. But from what I can see, from what I can tell, I would say something along the lines of that position. If I had to choose between the offensive line and the defensive line in football, American football, I would take the offensive line as far as least amount of skill. Now, from a person looking outside, looking in, right? Offensive line, you got to be fairly strong. You got to have decent footwork. You've got to be big, right? But when it comes to big, when it comes to being strong, that doesn't take skill, right? You can get into the weight room and get strong. You can have a certain frame and you can just eat a lot and build strength in the weight room, and you have those two aspects covered. Now, when it comes to things of footwork, when it comes to things of understanding who to block in order to protect your quarterback, that takes skill. But I'm talking about people, we're comparing this to other assets of sports. We're comparing it to boxing. We're comparing it to other aspects in football. We're comparing it to basketball, which I think takes a lot of skill. We're comparing it to other things that take a certain amount of practice. And I do think that, don't mistaken for what I'm saying as me bashing people who play the offensive line. But if I had to rank number one at the top, I would say it would be probably that position. And then I know a lot of people are saying, oh, what about NASCAR? What about golf? What about tennis? I think it takes an immense amount of practice, an immense amount of skill to do those sort of things. I think it takes an immense amount of skill to play tennis. Like, it takes finesse, it takes touch, it takes footwork, it takes speed, it takes accuracy, the ability to hit the ball right within the fine line. And so I'm no expert at any of these sports that I'm mentioning. I'm just mentioning it as a person outside looking in. And so if you have a different opinion, please comment down below. And like I said, I'm not bashing that position. I'm not saying that I'm even correct. I'm just giving my opinion. So if you have a different opinion, please comment down below, because you might think it's NASCAR, which would be fair. But give an example, give a reasoning as to why you think that. This isn't a topic of fact. I think this is a topic of opinion. And so you might say, what about sumo wrestling? I think sumo wrestling takes an immense amount of skill in order to do that. I think it's a form of wrestling. I think it takes an immense amount of body control and leverage and understanding how another person's body works. And you can say it's the same for an offensive lineman. But that's why I'm leaving it up to discussion, because you may have a different opinion. But if we're coming from what I see, I think it might be that position. I'm not 100% sold on that position, but I think it is an option. Now, again, you might say it's golf. I think golf takes an immense amount of skill. I think golf takes, hip control. It takes, again, finesse and touch, the ability to hit the ball when it comes to wind direction and whatever the weather poses to you. I think that takes some sort of skill. Baseball. I think baseball, if you can throw a ball 98 miles per hour, if you can throw a ball 89 miles per hour, if you can throw a ball 79 miles per hour, I think that takes skill. And then on the other end, for a person to be able to hit that ball, you can call it luck, but I think that it takes a lot. It takes a lot for a person to be able to do something like that. Basketball. Now, I do believe basketball does take a lot of physical attributes. I'm not saying that a person my height who's like 5'8", 5'9", if I'm standing on my tippy toes to be able to play basketball, it does take a certain amount of attributes in order to play basketball at the highest level. I'm not saying a guy my height can play in the NBA or is likely to play in the NBA, because there have been a couple guys, but we're talking about a couple guys without the entire span of basketball. I will never have the attributes of a LeBron James. I will never have the attributes of a Shaquille O'Neal. And those attributes don't pose to being able to be skilled in that particular art. But when it comes to, again, finesse, when it comes to be able to shoot, from mid-range to the 3-point line, when it comes to being able to dribble the ball at a high rate without the defender being able to steal the ball from you, I think that takes a lot of skill. We go to boxing. Do I even have to speak about boxing? Some of the best boxers are known to be the most skillful. And so I think that might be what it comes down to, is who is the best in that particular sport, and does it take them being skillful in order to be the best at that particular sport, at that particular position. I think that's what it comes down to. And so I would never say boxing. I would never say mixed martial arts. I would never say basketball. I would never even say certain positions in football, because I do believe quarterback takes a lot of skill. I think you have to understand the defense that you're going against. You have to understand the offense that you're a part of. And again, maybe the offensive line has to understand the same things. However, they're worried about different things, and they have to worry about less, in my opinion, than a quarterback would have to, right? And when it comes to, if you're saying, okay, what about the defensive line? I think the defensive line, it takes a certain amount of skill to be able to maneuver around the offensive line and be able to pick up interceptions, to be able to read the offensive line, to be able to get interceptions, to be able to get to the quarterback. I think that's a lot on an athlete's plate. Offensive line, what? You have to worry about pass rush. You have to worry about what? I don't know. You please educate me. if you were an offensive lineman in any sort of facet, because I would like to know, and give your example on who you think might be the least skillful in order to be elite at that level. Like I said, this isn't an all conversation. I'm just giving my opinion. And so this channel is about discussion. And so if you think otherwise, if you think it's NASCAR, please let me know. If you think it's baseball, if you think it's MMA, if you think it's boxing, if you think it's wrestling, if you think it's golf, if you think it's tennis, let me know. If you're unhappy with my answer, then again, comment down below. Any of the, even a kicker takes a lot of skill. I can't take that away from a kicker. I think kickers in football actually don't get enough respect sometimes. How many kickers have won games? Think about it that way. There have been a lot of kickers who won games off of field goals. I don't know. Comment down below what you think, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.